Thank you very much. Do you all hear me? Do you understand my accent? Okay. I will try to speak slowly and recognizably, hopefully. Thank you very much for inviting me. This is a topic that is at the same time very easy to talk about and very hard to talk about. It's a topic that first is easy because we all do it. We all seem to know something about social media. We all seem to know something about how it should work. And it's very hard to say, actually, what is the empirical evidence? What is the research that I should teach you in just 45 minutes? I wish I'm given 45 days and it wouldn't be enough. So let me just start by a little bit introducing my background or how come that I have been invited here. So as previously said, my name is Matilda Dorotic. I am a member of Department of Marketing and very passionate about trying to prove what I'm saying. Trying to do, and I truly believe in understanding data analytics in order to work with companies. My passion is truly, some of you have already collaborated with me. My passion is to work with companies in trying to find better solutions. So that was the reason why I have been invited to talk about big data, talk about data analytics, and in particular social media. And if you think about it, those are big data and social media are the two least understood buzzwords. And I have taken one example from internet where it says, this is a true definition of big data in my view. Big data is something that everyone talks about, but no one knows what to do with it. Just yesterday, when I tried to analyze, okay, so let me give them importance of big data, I just simply Googled it. And big data search produces about 348 million results. Social media produces 1.3 billion results. Even if you a little bit play with words, so it's not really social, as you can see up there. I just wanted to see what will happen then. Then the second importance. So I don't need to talk about the importance of this. I don't need to convince you about how important this is. But one aspect that always strikes me is that whenever we are talking about new tools for managers, new things that are of extreme strategic importance, what you see is that it seems like the IT specialists, like Microsoft, like SAS, like all of the IT people who are providing tools that we managers are supposed to know how to operate, they seem to be the first ones that are referenced in any of those searches. And why is that part of the problem that I have here? It's because IT typically provides very good solutions, typically provides very, very good IT equipment, but it does not provide the true insight. It does not provide the true strategic decision-making. And if we leave everything to IT people, it's like giving a computer its own will to lead your company. And this is one of the aspects that I'm really eager to address today, because you will see, hopefully by the end of this talk, my pure purpose is to try to differentiate a little bit between what we truly know about the impact of social media, about the impact of this big data, and what are the buzzwords that we have. And I will barely be able to just scratch the surface, and I hope we're going to have more meetings where I can go in depth with other aspects. But this is the main problem. IT specialists typically convince you, also consultants, that once you invest millions of kroners into this brand new cool software system that they have, that's going to solve all the problems. Okay, so let me see what are the big data very, very quickly. I know you already know this. So if we talk about big data, we are talking about all sorts of different massive amount of structured and unstructured information that companies can obtain from many different sources. These information are supposed to be processed by firm, by a manager, in order to make better decision, better business investments. Now, the issue with social media is that it really belongs in all of those structured, unstructured information that we have. So it adds there to this whole buzzword bundle that is big data. And IT companies are really able to actually address that part. I don't have any issue there. They're able to find algorithms to tell us how do we really make sense of this. But this other part, how do firms really process information and how to improve business decisions, that's where we are still lacking. This is where I'm trying to a little bit spice up or provide some of the insights. So why is all of this a problem? Because if you have all of the data, look at here, there's lots of data there. Having lots of data does not really give you very good insights. And I'm glad that many of you are nodding at this. Therefore, investing simply in IT solutions without really understanding the true strategic potential and the true strategic problems that underlie it are going to lead to the massive confusion. And what happens typically, and what this reminds me of, is an era of loyalty programs. I have been researching in loyalty programs, relationship instruments, you know, kundelojalitetsprogramma, all of those bonus points. Some 10 years ago, what has been told is that once you invest, once you have a loyalty program, and you must have it as a firm, once you have it, you're done. And then the whole hype went down because some of the companies were very good in it, others were just wasting money. And the same hype is happening now with all of this information about big data, with all of the lots of IT solutions that exist in the market that are not providing solutions for the business decision making. The second part that I was just explaining. Now, let's see what is happening in marketing. Digital spending, or digitalizations, as our president now just said, is really dominating marketing budgets. It's really dominating any budgets that firms have. And this is an overview. This is a census of one of the biggest or the most important censuses of marketing managers in the world. And it shows that throughout years, what has been happening is that marketing budgets have been shifted completely from traditional media towards more digital media. So what happens now is that companies are saying, okay, everyone is talking about this buzzword, this 1.3 billion websites, 1.3 billion different consultants. They're all saying we have to invest in social media. So what we do, we chip a little bit from our TV, we take from our traditional channels, and we just give to digital channels. What you see in the US is that the black bars are representing digital investments. You see that they are overcoming TV ad investments. So what has been happening is this massive shift towards we must have social media, we must invest there, and let's do whatever everyone else is doing. Let's have another social media investment. And that is going to solve problem because now we are going to have lots of new customers that are going to come to us. And these lots of new customers are going to bring more customers. And that's all very good. And that's all very nice in this consulting world or selling your solutions world. Now, I'm not saying that solutions cannot work. What I'm saying is that they don't do job for you. Now, let's see the other side of the story. So everyone is shifting budgets. Budgets are now up to almost 40% of marketing budgets are spent on digital and social media. What is happening with the other side of the story? If you ask managers truly to respond anonymously, how many companies have actually proven quantitatively how much this social media investment that you have just done, how much that has contributed to your performance, then you see that only 15% of managers say that they have managed to prove some impact. Vast majority has not proven any impact. And now take this also with a little bit of caution, because what happens here is that you're asking a manager, although anonymously, but you're still asking a manager to say whether he's doing a job well or not. So the number that I suspect here is going to be slightly lower if you, after you analyze everything that I have, that I will say eventually here. Now, when you ask managers about their perceived social media contributions, so after you have done all of this investment, how much do you really believe that your social media investment has impacted your overall firm performance? Then you see that majority of managers, and I see many heads nodding here, majority of managers are saying there is very little impact, almost nothing. On a scale of 1 to 7, where 7 is very high impact, it has the mighty impact on my performance, the average answer is 3.2. Again, take that with the notion that majority of those managers are talking about how well they're doing their job. Now, what does this say? So everything has been shifted towards getting more budgets, getting more money into the social media, while outcomes are very poor. Or at this stage, very poor. We're going to talk a little bit about how to actually deal with this, how to try to see through the buzz and try to answer some of the questions that you should ask yourselves as marketing managers in order to try to move on from this position. Okay, so one of the first and the most important questions, and I wanted to go straight into the main core of the problem. One of the main problems is, can firms really measure the return on investment that they have in social media? That seems to be the biggest issue. And by the fact that there are so many of you here, it seems to be also a burning issue. Also in my talks with firms, with managers, this seems to be the burning issue. Now, my answer to this is yes, but. And let me give you three main reasons why but. So yes, but. Everything that happens in social media is vastly different than matrices and things that we have been learning how to do here at schools and have been doing in our everyday jobs. First of all, social media. So I'm not going to talk much about big data because that's just a buzzword. Let me talk about something that can be measured. Social media investment can be measured. So investment into big data can be anything, right? So investment in social media, first of all, depends on customer investments, not on firm investments. That's a very different situation than a situation when companies are charging some ad agency to come up with a good ad for their TV program. It's a very different situation. Why? Because it doesn't depend on how much you as a firm have invested in your social media. It really depends on how much your customer is willing to invest. Now, how do I understand how much my customer is willing to invest? That's a very tricky thing. You need to know two things. Who are the people who are even interested in investing in sharing, and why they do it? Now, there comes the big issue. Why this social media is so slippery? It's because majority of people whenever we are sharing on social media, whenever we are contributing to social media, we are not doing it in order to talk to company. We're doing it to say something about ourselves to our significant others, to our other friends. Let me repeat this. So the pure motive behind why we are using social media as social media users is not really to talk to company, right? Most of us really want to talk to our other friends. If that is the case, then the motives in this communication are very different than the motives that you have when you are, when company is communicating with you through traditional media. If that is the case, then the whole process, what someone is posting and why someone is posting, and let me repeat, people are posting not primarily, think of yourselves, not primarily in order to talk to the company, but in order to say something to your other friends about your interests, about what is happening in your life today. If that is the case, then most of the investment or most what is happening there is not really under the control of the company. And if it's not really under the control of the company, then there is this issue of, as a company, how can I really measure my investment? How can I understand if I now invest 1 million kroner into social media, into something that IT or other consultants are suggesting me? How can I really control what's happening there? The answer is you can't. And then, because of that, everything becomes much more difficult. Because that means that you have to rely on your relationship with your customers in order to really try to indirectly make sure that what you are saying or what they are saying in social media will be positive. Now, the third problem of why it is hard to measure the return on investment in social media is then, and this is one of the questions that most companies are asking me, and also journalists, how do I actually translate all of these likes into the direct impact that a firm understands, which is money, which is sales, which is profitability, which is impact on market share, impact on shareholder value? That's very hard, because most of the matrices that exist, they are either dealing with our traditional world, how much have you sold in your company last month, and then on the other side, we have all of the matrices that are saying, okay, so in addition to that, you had increase of 20% in number of likes. Okay, so what does that mean? 20% increase in number of likes. How does that translate to sales? That is the third issue. Okay, so let's try to run through some of the main aspects that I will just try to scratch three, because I think that if you manage to understand these three, you will grasp some of the main problems that exist in measuring social media. To measure the true impact of social media, firms need to understand first who posts and why. I have a little bit introduced this question before. Then the second thing is, where do they post and how much was posted in social media? And the third one is, how does this, whatever happens in social media, relates to my other marketing instruments? Let's try to go into depth a little bit with these three questions. So let's see who posts on social media. Everyone is talking about this. I had this many likes, I had this many shares, etc. Let me show you how many of the total number of customers actually post. This was research done in the US that analyzed the total customer base of a very large international apparel retailer. They're selling clothes. Out of all of the customers that they have, barely 1.5% of customers are posting on social media. So this is a very big research that they took because they analyzed, they matched all the information that they have in their transactional data, who are these people that are buying, and then try to match that with those who are on social media. Now, 1.5%, how representative these guys are. Who are they? It's only 1.5% of your total customer base. And then you're saying, I've seen last night that someone commented this. If someone commented something and said, yes, I think you should do this investment, is this good enough for your financial manager to really say, let's go on with this investment? Now, with 1.5%, try to think about how representative they are of your customer base, who these people could be. Now, let me go a little bit further. Even if you go into these 1.5%, you will see that there are two groups of in this particular case, we are talking about people who are willing to write product reviews, who are willing to tell you something about their products. You have two groups, one large and one very small. Low-involved customers are majority. They are rather passive. They don't really like to be first to comment. They don't really like to be the first ones to post something. They are posting, if they post, they typically post more positive posts. They typically post more positive customer reviews. But there are people that are very shy when there is a conflict. When other people are saying, when someone is saying very positive things, others are saying very negative, there is this variability. These low-involved posters are likely not to post then. That's a very interesting point. There is another group that is called activists. And this group is not particularly driven by your own product, by your own brand. They're just very much active on social media. They like to post, they like to talk. They particularly like to post more negative comments. They're typically those that are a little bit more into debate. And they create typically very, very different environment. They create mass in your social media. When they create mass, then all of the other people, typically low involved, they adjust their review downward. They adjust their review downward. So what happens is that the more fuss, the more activists coming in and saying something negative about your brand, the more these low-involved who could be your customers, the more they shy away. What is really important to take from here are these 2 points. Social media is very often presenting just one very small fraction of your current customers. I'm not saying it's not important fraction, and I'm not saying ignore it. What I'm saying is that you have to really then try to understand, okay, so who are these customers? Because if I understand who they are, if I'm able to analyze who they are and match that to their actual purchases, then I can somehow value how much should I really pay attention to this particular post or this particular review. And the second point is, what others post very much influences what will be posted subsequently. So even if I am kind of positive about some product, but others have been very vague and there has been lots of discussion, I may go downward a little bit in my evaluation. Now, let's go on to one of the big buzzes that I very often try to address when I talk to companies. Consultants and IT typically says this phrase: customers who join social media, your Facebook fans, they have higher spending. They are spending much more than those who are not your Facebook fan. They are more frequently buying from you, and their profitability is much higher than the profitability of those who do not buy. Now, I need to really address this, and this is one of the key points of my talk. What is happening here? If you're just presented with this evidence, you're saying, okay, so those who are my Facebook fans, those who are my loyalty program members, the same thing happens here because they are typically the same people. They spend much more, they're much more valuable than those who are not my Facebook fan. So what is the solution? Let's have everyone become a Facebook fan, right? And we have let's have many people from here become a Facebook fan. And that's why social media works. It's a perfect solution. Well, now comes the problem. Those people who have decided to like your Facebook page, who have decided to become your loyalty program members, those customers are typically the ones that already purchase with you, that already like you. So the fact that they have joined social media is because they like you already, and it is because they are already purchasing much more than those guys. Because those guys are not interested in joining. Think yourself about how likely are you to join or become a fan of a Facebook page of a company that you don't care about, that you don't purchase from, or that you purchase very little from. Think. So that's the pure issue. Does the social media then cause customers to buy more? Let me go a little bit into, okay, so now if I look at those who are already here, those who are already social media fans, how do I really analyze, how do I really find out, is it that my social media does something more? First of all, as I said, I analyze who are the people that have joined and why they're joining. Typically, those who already love your firm are the ones that will join the first. Those who already purchase a lot from you are the ones that will join the first. They are in social media, they are typically more experienced, they are tech-savvy customers, they are more prone to use social media anyhow, and they like to use online entertainment. That's typically the group that joins your Facebook pages. Now, what happens with this group, and how do we make this customer buy more over time? In order to truly understand the impact that joining social media has, what you have to do is to try to compare two persons that are very much alike. Think about two twins that are alike in their purchase behavior, in the likelihood of joining social media before you have started your Facebook page. Everything is exactly the same between them. What you do then is you see that one of the twins, one of the lookalikes, has joined social media, this one, and this one didn't. Then what I do is I compare them over time. And now when you do it properly, when you do it like that, what we know for sure is that what happens when you join online community, so think about, for example, Amazon online community or some other online community. What happens is that in reality, rather than having all of those numbers that consultants are telling you, the numbers are still positive, but they are much smaller than what consulting is typically saying. They're much smaller than when you compare these two groups, those who are joining social media and those who don't. So 19% increase in expenditure is expected. And what will happen is that customers will typically rather increase frequency than the amount that they are spending. What you can expect in that is that they will come more often to, or buy more often to you, than that they will buy more of whatever they're buying. And it is only happening for those who are really actively participating, for those who are really doing something on the Facebook page, not for those who are merely there just looking at what others have posted. There, it doesn't really work. Okay, the second question, and I have to hurry up, should firms, now the second question that I'm very often asked is, should we aim for volume or should we aim for valance? Should we aim for more positive comments? What do you think is more important? Okay, let me give you a clue. Very often companies are saying, okay, so I would rather have few very positive comments, very positive reviews, than mass of very different reviews. Some positive, some negative, etc. What we know from empirical evidence is that volume of electronic word of mouth. So electronic word of mouth is anything that relates to social media. Posting, liking your Facebook page, etc. Volume rather than valance. Valance is it positive or negative, are impacting sales. The impact, the correlation between what you're saying or what has been said in electronic word of mouth and sales is positive and significant. But it's really this cumulative volume that you have that drives the impact of sales, rather than just whether it's positive or negative. Negative word of mouth has not been found to directly link to the lower sales unless you are a mature product and unless you are in a low financial risk product zone. But what affects sales is this high variability that I have been talking to you before. So if it's a very high confusion in the media, people tend to shy away from it because it's a more risky product. What happens on YouTube? Which videos go viral? Again, you will see that there is this volume that drives this. It is better, if you want your YouTube video to go viral, it is better to have many subscribers who have few friends than to go for one kjendis, that was my Norwegian, for one celebrity that has one with very many friends. If you want aspects to go viral. What is also really interesting is this part. It is really not about the production quality that matters in order to go viral. It is really about your user ratings. And it's really about how many videos have you posted and how many ratings have you had, and whether you're young, popular, and whether you're talking about entertainment or some educational content. So this is what makes it. It's not really easy to understand in the first place, but what happens is that once I've heard some popularity or some awareness is better than no awareness. So what happens is that when there is a buzz, when many people talk about your brand, then you get more impact on social media than when few people talk about favorably about your brand. Okay. It doesn't only matter what is said, but also where it was said. Which platform is used here? So what you see is that we post our comments on some platforms, but we share content with friends and families on others. So in this case, the red bar is sharing, and you see that in social media, you use it more to express your point of view. Now, let's see some of the evidence. What happens is that what people post depends really on where they post it. So what happens is that what you hear about your brand really much depends on where you look at it. One of the truths here, so we have been analyzing proportion of positive comments, neutral, so they're just talking about the product, nothing specific about whether they like product or not, and negative comments. What we see is that positive comments, or mass of positive comments, goes to blogs. Here, this is the line that is blog. And mass of negative comments goes on forums. So if people, what I said, what you will hear depends on whether you're looking at blogs or you're looking at forums. At forums, you will typically hear much more negative comments. So it's not really only about who is posting, but also where is something posted. Very few companies are able to integrate information across YouTube subscribers, Facebook, and Twitter. Very, very few companies. And very few companies are able to identify this one individual customer, who this person is, and link it to their database of transactions. How much is this person really spending with us? Now, impact on sales also differs across platforms. The impact of electronic word of mouth on sales is stronger on e-commerce platforms, so Amazon and similar e-commerce platforms, than on social media platforms. So what you should use is e-commerce sites if you want to introduce new products. That works better. So for new products, introducing it through Facebook works less than introducing it through e-commerce platforms. Now, if you want to look at what matters on e-commerce platforms, what really matters is immediate visibility, no scrolling required. So I go typically to e-commerce platforms in order to buy a product, and I want to see the reviews fast and square. If I want to read, then I prefer less structured display over very structured summaries. Because I want to know a little bit more about, okay, so what is happening with this product, why this product has reviews. But what I said, the number of reviews is what really drives this sales effect. Now, what matters on social media platforms is very different. What matters there is how much we can identify ourselves with other customers that have been commenting. So what happens here is that we are looking at similarities to those who have posted in order to see whether we can identify. And these two platforms, what you see now, are having very different, first of all, very different motives of posting are there. Very different people may post on the two, and they will approach it very differently. Okay. Now, what we also know, this shows you that durable goods and services will benefit more from online behavior than fast-moving consumer goods. So, this is how you read it. So these are online activities that companies have and how they impact fast-moving consumer goods and durables. You see that if clicks increase by 1%, durable services will increase by 0.36%. So this is what you see is that most of the online behavior is actually very, very positive for durable goods and for services. Now, the third question that I wanted to address, because I have only 5 more minutes, and we can talk about this later in our Q&A session, how social media then actually affects brand metrics. And one of the very, very frequent questions is, should we really take away money from TV advertising and put it in social media? Now, that's very tough question to answer, but let's try to scratch the surface on it. So, one of the things that is very important is that TV ads are actually, first of all, building your brand awareness. If people are not aware of your brand, they are not really likely to engage in social media activities about your brand, right? You're not likely to go after a brand that you don't know and search for it on social media. So what happens is that TV and social media are really working together. And if you cut TV completely, you're going to lose very important synergy that exists between them. And the second point is, and I will go then a little bit more into empirical evidence that we have. So the first point is, TV is very important in your building your brand metrics. And if you have your strong brand, then we know that social media works the best. So all of the cases where we know that social media has been very successfully contributing to sales are the conditions when people already know your brand, when they already like your brand. That's why Telenor, similar Tine, that's why their social media seems to be the most frequented. So if you don't know about this brand, then social media cannot really compensate for everything that TV is doing. Then the second point is that TV is effectively building offline, is the most effective offline action to lift online sales. So what happens to online behavior? So what happens really is that online and offline are not really one against another, like it has been presented so many times. They really work in unison. What you have is positive cross effects. And that's a very recent evidence that we have. So TV is really increasing much of the online behavior, and it's even outperforming some of the online investments. So TV in this case is a green bar. You will have more positive web conversations in number, more positive web conversations if you increase TV by 1%, TV budgets. The second aspect are these cross effects. So what happens if I invest in traditional advertising, let's say TV and newspapers? What happens? In traditional advertising, we'll typically have the strong, so this is the offline sales in brick and mortar stores, this is the online sales. It will have total effect, let me put it here. The total effect of traditional advertising will, of course, be stronger on offline sales. But what you see is very positive effect from TV and other sorts of advertising on online behavior. What is happening is that if you see something on TV, most likely you're going to take your iPhone, iPad, tablet, etc., and start Googling a little bit to see a little bit more about this. So there is this positive effect. Now what happens on the other side is also that there is a very strong positive effect of online display advertising on offline behavior. So if you have checked something online, if you have checked prices online, it is much easier to go to the store and know exactly which product you want. So there is a positive cross-sales effect. And if you really, so what you need to do is first try to understand how each of those aspects really contribute individually to your sales performance, and then try to understand the impact or interaction that the two will have, because that is what is going to produce the most impact on sales. Because then you're going to have positive impact from traditional media, positive impact from online media that together will produce a stronger impact on sales. And finally, this is how everything works. So social media, you can really divide into whatever firm is having as own social media. What is it that firm, for example, investments in your Facebook page, and what customer generate on social media. You can post something yourself on social media, but also your customers can really produce or generate some content themselves. Now, these social media investments are affecting customer outcomes. They affect customer satisfaction, purchase intent, and the brand awareness. And that, we know from research, affects shareholder value, affects the ability to have strong profitability and the trust of stock market investors in buying your shares. So we know that the strongest impact on shareholder value comes from purchase intent. If you are willing to go and purchase a product, stock market will also react very positively to that. Somewhat lower effect is from still positive, and significant is from customer satisfaction. Now, keeping that in mind, what I really want to address is this part. Okay, so how this affects that? Because if we know then we then know how to proceed. Okay, this is really interesting. These are effects of your own posting as a firm, of your own posting versus number of brand fan following. So what happens is own posting of a firm is called owned social media. So that's the social media that you own. And it's interesting that 1% increase in posting, in investing there, leads to positive impact, less than 1%, but positive impact on brand awareness, mostly. It also leads to positive impact on customer satisfaction, but it doesn't do anything to really increase purchase intent. So what happens is that you are posting a lot on your Facebook page. As a firm, you have a person that is posting regularly, and nothing really happens. I have been working with companies on this, and they're saying, people don't really react to that. What we really react to is what other people are doing, what other people really post about you, what other people post on other aspects. Because number of your brand followers across Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook is really driving positively both brand awareness, purchase intent, and customer satisfaction. Now, the other side of the story, what happens with aspects that other people really post for you, that's earned social media, what you earn from customers, that is actually affecting positively brand awareness and purchase intent, but has very little impact on customer satisfaction. So what you see here, positive impact from your own media, not impact from what other people are saying. But there is a positive impact on purchase intent. Now, the most what is affected with what is posted, is it positive or is it negative, is actually not how people will behave, but how people will feel about your company. So customer satisfaction, this is negative, these are negative posts. What happens if someone posts negative? This is what happens if someone posts something positive about your brand. They are mostly likely to affect your customer satisfaction. Not so much brand awareness and purchase intent. So, in order to measure the true impact of social media investments, let us try to answer these three questions. First, you need to really understand who are the people that post and why they're doing it. You need to understand by analyzing your data. Secondly, in order to know where and how much, you need to be able as a manager to integrate multiple channels, multiple platforms, in order to be able to see the unique view of all of your customer base. Who are these people who are posting and how much they contribute to me? And finally, in order to see how social media relates to other tools, you have to integrate different customer metrics and understand their interactions. What seems to be the biggest issue with managers these days is that they are unable to integrate data that exists in different parts of their company. And that's because it is IT who is really sorting things in order. And I'm not, IT people, I know some IT people here, I'm not against IT. I'm just saying that if you leave it to IT, it's like leaving a computer to lead your company. That doesn't really work. So what you need to do is to be able to understand individual customer, how that customer contributes to you, and then link all of the other information to it. Okay, I will leave it at that, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.